I'm with my friend Gabriel Hemery. He's a forest scientist. We've got to know each other for some time now, and I want to have Gabriel explain. He's a forest scientist. He wants to explain some of what we're doing here. What looks to me just like an open ploughed field is actually part of his vision for the future. And let's hear what Gabriel has to say about his plan for what we're doing here.
Well, it is an open plough field, you're right. So over the next few months we're going to be transforming this to a future forest, is what we're calling it.
Wow.
So we've got 7,500 trees to plant, and well, it's future in two ways. The main way, I guess, is to really look at future-proof species. So we're looking at a whole range of different genetics of the species that are well known to us here, like oak and ash, and also looking at more exotic species. So we've got Japanese red cedar, Chinese mahogany, some of the North American species that are really productive. So conifers, broadleaves, a whole range of different species that will ultimately produce productive trees for timber, help support wildlife, create a beautiful landscape. Be very diverse, about 40 different species. So that's one big side of it. And the other side is, well, I guess we're looking at making it future in another way, and that's working with local people. We want local people to have a real connection with this forest, not just come and plant a tree and then walk away. We want to find a way of giving people ownership of the woodland.
So kids will be involved, and schools maybe? Or?
Yeah, we've got 10 primary schools coming out, so about 300 children will be coming to plant.
Yeah. And
then we're also doing this idea of what we're calling a forest friend scheme. So we've got plots of 25 trees in 10 by 10 metre plots.
Okay.
And there's a bit of science behind this, and the idea is that effectively a large full-grown oak would take up about 100 metres squared, its canopy, 10 by 10 metres. So if we take that as a starting point, but plant 25 trees in, they look after each other, they create that little microclimate, they grow well in the wind, they're drawn up towards the light, so they produce good quality timber, but fantastic habitat for nature as well at the same time. Ultimately, for an oak, it's about 120 years, so we've got to be patient. We thin those trees out over cycles, and at the end of that 120 years, we end up with one tree that's our majestic super tree, with perfect timber and that sort of thing. So we've got these plots marked out in 10 by 10 metres with 25 trees, and we're allowing members of the public, individuals, families, even businesses, to get involved by sponsoring those plots. And we've got 325 of them across this field.
Wow, so they get divided off and you can sponsor that. It becomes like an adoption, I suppose. And I actually found that quite fascinating because obviously I use wood and I'm interested in how the timber we use gets developed. So this is a sustainable, future-proofing project for you, really. You're really investing yourself in something you might not even see the full vision of in your life.
Oh, I definitely won't. I mean, you'll see a forest, I hope.
You'll see it progress. Well, I've seen some of your work over here.
Yes, this is a former charity, our sister charity, the Earth Trust. I used to work for them as the forest scientist. So this is a forest I planted 15 years ago now. And it's got a nice range of species. So I can hopefully last long enough to see the forest coming. You get a sense of woodland, but I won't be here to see the main bits of timber come out. But that's the whole nature of forestry. You don't do it for yourself, you do it for future generations. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So you mentioned sustainability. I suppose for us, it's not just a sustainable woodland in terms of what it produces and looking after nature and all those aspects, but for us as a charity, by bringing in this forest friend scheme, it also means we can afford to manage it well.
Yeah.
Because it brings us some regular revenue, which we need to do the work we do.
Well, that's some of what we want to do, because we run woodworking masterclasses, and we've got lots of people that support us in so many different ways, and we're going to invite them to sponsor some of this too, because we want to take over some plottage of square meters for planting those 25, 50 trees, whatever we can.
Fantastic.
And so we've decided that we will match what they invest in. So anybody that puts something forward for this, we can future-proof this in some measure, and that will go into maintaining and progressing a sustainable culture.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
looking
great.
forward to
Well,
that.
great. I mean, the big idea is, of course, you'll be coming out, and that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Out with
yeah.
a spade, in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
It'll be just a fantastic. It always is a fantastic thing to get people out. So we've got a few public planting weekends. We'll have families, children, businesses all coming out on the same days. It'll be just a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
opportunity really to celebrate tree planting. It's one of those momentous things you do, and you look back at a woodland like that, and you remember planting them in, they're about 2 foot high
Yeah.
in
yeah,
tree tubes to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
the rabbits away. And then 10, 15 years later, you end up with something that begins to feel like a forest. You can feel the winds less here.
Yeah.
It's full of wildlife. You can hear the birds singing and the leaves rustling. And I think that's one of the most satisfying things as a forester. We talked about the long-term nature. It's when you hear a woodpecker drumming on a dead bit of wood in a forest you planted, that's just the most satisfying thing.
I can't imagine anything.
And secondly, maybe the sound of a chainsaw. Honestly, that's also the other fantastic thing. And I think people find that quite hard. You planted this, how can you be happy at being felled? But it's the best thing ever. If there's
Yeah.
timber come out and there's also wildlife enriched by how you've transformed that landscape, there's nothing more satisfying. And that's what I want everyone involved in this to feel, that we're on this journey together. It's the most wonderful thing you can do. It's a legacy, other than your own children, to leave a children in the terms of a forest. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, yeah. So take a look at this. This is going to be a woodland. Very soon we'll be planting trees. We'll see this land transformed from a ploughed field into a forest, hopefully in our lifetime.
7,500.
7,500.
So there's plenty to do.
That's a lot of trees.
So we need people to come out and help plant as well. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for inviting us to
Well, thank you, Paul.
be a part of it. It's very humbling, really, to think that we're planting a playground for children and a place for them to see it grow and be a part of their lives. I think that's remarkable.